In the early to mid-20th century, there were quite a few ways to become famous. But one sure way was to die under terrifying and mysterious circumstances on a ship in the middle of the ocean. That's how the crew of the SS Ourang Medan became infamous, with wide-open eyes and mouths twisted in horror. No one knows what happened to this ghost ship because shortly after it was discovered by a rescue boat, it blew up. At least, that was the story. In 2019, the release of the Namco Entertainment video game Man of Medan reignited interest in the horrifying mystery of the Ourang Medan. But the stories of this ghost ship have been in circulation for 80 years. This seemingly impossible event is said to have taken place in the 1940s. The precise year tends to vary from source to source. According to the story, the SS Ourang Medan, a Dutch vessel, was passing through the Strait of Malacca when it ran afoul of a mysterious tragedy. Nearby ships reported receiving a horrifying distress call. All officers, including captain, dead, lying in the chart room and on the bridge. Probably the whole crew dead, it stated. Then there was an unintelligible frenzy of Morse code. The radio operator had the final word, "I die." Rescuers who boarded the vessel, it said, found the stricken ship just as described. The crew was indeed dead, their bodies strewn across the decks. Not only that, but they were found teeth bared, with their upturned faces to the sun, staring, as if in fear. Even the ship's dog was dead, frozen in this ghastly state, mid-growl at an assailant or horror unknown. That's just the start of the mystery of the Ourang Medan. Reports go on to suggest that shortly after the ship was boarded, a fire broke out in the bows, forcing those who had arrived to this grisly tableau to evacuate. Shortly after they did, the ship exploded with such force that it was lifted out of the ocean, before quickly sinking without a trace. Naturally, this leaves us with not one, but two incredible mysteries to ponder. What caused the mass demise of the Ourang Medan's crew? And what caused the subsequent explosion? We're getting ahead of ourselves though, because there's one more thing to consider. Officially, the ship may have never existed. This famous story leads to all kinds of dead ends. Most notably, there's no mention of the SS Ourang Medan's registration in Lloyd's Shipping Registered, nor has any official recording of the bizarre incident on board been discovered. The reason the precise date of the event has been so difficult to pinpoint is that newspaper reports tell various versions of the story across a period of time, each adding and embellishing details along the way. Nevertheless, believers swear that this impossible, fantastical tale is absolutely true. It's said that the ship's registry wasn't found because it was actually registered in Sumatra. The vessel's name translates to Man from Medan, Medan being a Sumatran island. More than that, Professor Theodor Seesdorfer, a German researcher who has been poring over the fascinating case for around half a century, discovered an old German publication from 1953 entitled Das Totenschiffen der Südsee, or The Death Ship in the South Seas. This little booklet, courtesy of now-deceased scholar Otto Mielke, is believed by some to offer evidence that the ship was real, as was its tragic fate. It offers an intriguing possibility as to the cause of the explosion that sent the Ourang Medan to the depths. Das Totenschiffen der Südsee suggests that potassium cyanide and nitroglycerin were stored in the ship's hold. If so, this could certainly explain the vessel's sudden accidental destruction, as well as the nebulous nature of any records connected to the ship and the incident. In the tense international climate at the close of World War II, these were super-sensitive materials to be transporting and would spark quite an incident should they be used carelessly. Perhaps the details of the SS Ourang Medan are so difficult to find because somebody wants them to be all this time later. As for the unfortunate crew, various possibilities arise. A pirate attack certainly wouldn't be out of the question, but most accounts claim that the bodies were largely unwounded. The circumstances hint towards a release of dangerous gases, another volatile and controversial, yet familiar cargo in the international climate. The possibility of a supernatural or otherworldly incident has been raised, and that's impossible to verify. There are so many loose ends here, but one thing is for certain. The case is one of the most fascinating in nautical history, and much like Jack the Ripper's identity and countless other unsolved mysteries, its precisely impossible nature is what continues to capture our imaginations.